Welcome to There Is a Method to the Madness. My name is Rob Maxwell. I'm an exercise physiologist and personal trainer. I'm the owner of Maxwell's Fitness Programs. I have been in business since 1994. The reason why I do this podcast is because, number one, I like talking fitness and health, and I think it's a public service that is absolutely necessary. There's a lot of bad information out there, and I want to try to set the record straight with at least the people that are within my vicinity that know me, and I feel like I can make a difference by giving you the real deal. All right, so there is science behind health and fitness, which is what the method to the madness essentially is about. First, let me thank our very first sponsors to the podcast, Jonathan and Lynn Gilden of the Gilden Group at Realty Pros. They currently have over 280 five-star reviews on Zillow, and they are consummate professionals at what they do. I personally vouch for them. I just referred to them yesterday, and I do that because I know they're good. I don't refer to anybody I don't believe in. All right, they can be reached at thegildengroup.com. All right, let's talk about a sticky subject here. Kind of a play on words. I'm talking about grip strength. Get it? Sticky grip strength. All right, let's talk about it. Why is it kind of sticky? Well, because people don't really understand the importance of grip strength. And as I've said in the beginning, in the opening, in the introduction, that I've been doing this for almost 30 years. So you could imagine that a lot of people, I was going to say most people, and I think that was true early on, but now it seems to be less. But most people in the early days, and some people now, continue to use workout gloves when they work out. Now, I get it if you're trying to keep your hands as pristine as possible. I really do. I mean, if you've got a job where you can't have calloused up hands, or you simply don't want to have calloused up hands because you're going to if you lift weights, then I totally get it. Wear the gloves. But a lot of people, more guys than women, would wear gloves because they would look at it as an advantage. Like, if I wear gloves, I'm going to grip the bar better, and I'm going to be able to do more pull-ups, or more shrugs, or more deadlifts, or more farmer carries, or whatever the case may be. Those are the exercises that rely on grip quite a bit, the pulling exercises. But we're kind of missing the point if we do that, right? So I think if people understood how important true grip strength is, they wouldn't be hiding from it. They would be trying to train it. All right? So let's talk about that, because that is what the method to the madness is all about. I have to give you a reason why, or you're just going to tell me to, don't let the door hit me in the butt on the way out, right? Because look, you're going to say, I don't want to necessarily train my grip unless I have to. All right? I get it. That's why I always try to give you some scientific foundation before I tell you to do something. And here it is. So, grip strength is actually correlated to higher health outcomes. And grip strength is also correlated to length of life. Now, I know that can be a little bit deceiving and a little bit hard to believe, but hear me out. Here's why. Grip strength is correlated to overall body strength. That is an absolute fact. That's why those dynamometers that some people use, I use them here, which is an isometric way to test your grip. And dynamometers can be used for all different muscle groups, but dynamometers and grip strength is probably the most common, I would guess. So that's why in the early days especially, more trained, educated, certified personal trainers and exercise physiologists, and also physical therapists that work with people for arm and shoulder rehabilitation, were testing via dynamometers early on, because they do give you a true measurement of not only grip strength, but total body strength. There is a direct correlation. I remember when I taught sports medicine, I would teach that, and I'm going to explain why in a minute. I'm not going to leave you hanging, but I would teach that concept to my students, and they would kind of like, who cares about grip strength? So-and-so can bench press 400 pounds, so-and-so can bench press 300 pounds, so-and-so can squat 800 pounds, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, yeah, I get it. But I'd look at the biggest, strongest kid in the room, and I'd give him the dynamometer. And I'd ask him, I'd say, well, do you do any specific grip strength stuff? And he'd say, well, with my curls, sometimes I'll do reverse curls. I say, okay, that's, it's working the forearms a little bit. But I would have him give the dynamometer a turn. And then I would basically have everybody give it a turn, right? And for the most part, in all studies, there's a standard deviation. So, sometimes they just don't work out perfectly. But I would say with 99.9% accuracy, and that's a pretty darn good research subjective test that I did, that it fell in line. And you know what that line was? The strongest looking person had the best grip strength. The weakest looking person had the worst grip strength. You might be saying, well, that's common sense, but is it? Is it? I don't think so. I think there's enough confusion there where somebody might say, well, it depends if somebody's purposely training their grip. Well, okay, maybe that's true to an extent, but the reality is, and it has not a lot to do with, it does have something to do with, but not a lot to do with size of your hands. It has to do with total body strength. So the strongest people are going to have the strongest grips. All right. So let's try now. Let's think through this. All right. You're going to go down this thinking process with me because, as you probably already imagine, I've already thought about this and I already have the information readily available right up in the old cranium right now, but I'm going to share it with you. People that have stronger grips before the advent of, say, formal weight training and stuff of that nature. Now, we're a funny species, right? We think pretty much that the way things are now, they've always been. Now, you might say, well, that's not true. I know that way back they didn't have cars and so on and so on. But for the most part, we just kind of think the way things are now are the way things are now. So, for example, it wasn't that long ago, go back a century or so. I think I shared it in the email last week that one of the first actual gym memberships ever was in 1873 in London. So that's, a little bit over, say, 150 years or so, right? That's not that long ago. And it wasn't until really the 1970s before Nautilus and other gyms started taking off. Before that, it was mostly boxing style gyms. Now it's completely different. It's an industry. Thank God it's an industry because I'm part of the industry. But for a while there, people who were big and strong did manual labor. That's how they got their muscles. They were more the people that worked in the fields. They were the people that worked outside. They were people that worked. They were housemakers that worked. Recently, just saw a study that said, and it looked like it was a verified study. I'm doing research for a new book, and it said that a woman, and I forget what part of the world it was in. It was not in the United States. Go figure. But 100 years ago, a woman who took care of household and whatnot, because sorry guys, they outworked us a ton, okay, was actually stronger and more athletically fit than a gold medalist of today's standards when they look at everything. Now, I know some of you are going to say, oh, let's see her run the 400 meters. That wasn't the point. they measured all the different variables that they can try to put together at the time. And the point was like kilocalorie expenditure in that time period was 5 times what it is today. And they didn't even formally exercise. So they had the muscles from work. All right. So now let's look at why grip strength matters so much. So if it took manual labor to build the muscles, what do you think held the tools? What do you think carried things? We need a strong grip to be able to do the other things. When I've trained people for the millionth time, and I'm not trying to say this for any other reason than trying to make a point here, for, as I said, 30 years. And it is constantly somebody's limiter when they can't do a certain pull exercise because they don't have the grip strength. They can't do a certain amount of pull-ups because their grip gives out before their lats do. Or they can't do a certain deadlift weight because their grip gives out before their glutes do. Well, that's not good, because how are you going to, and these are just examples, but this carries over into everything we do. How are we going to strengthen our glutes, low back, and hamstrings via the deadlift if we can never get strong enough to hold the bar to appropriately overload those areas? We can't. So deadlift is lifting something off the floor, in case you don't know. A lot of competitions will have what they call raw competitions, which means they're not allowed to use straps, wrist straps, or gloves of that nature. They call it raw. They don't want you to do that because there are things people can use on their forearms to help them lift the weights. I'm not saying that's bad or good. I'm just saying that how are we ever strengthening a vital area if we're running from it? Now, 2 things I want you to get out of this message, because right now in my head, I have 2 people that I'm picturing right now that know they don't have very good, strong grips, and they're going to get upset with themselves because they know that it's a limiter for them. That's not the point of this. That's not at all, because the people I'm thinking of that's true are actually training their grip. In fact, one of them I know for sure has one of those little old-fashioned grip things that you can squeeze in your hand that all the macho guys in middle school and high school used to bring and put them on their desks. Well, maybe old Biff in high school knew what he was doing. Probably not. But anyway, those things help. The point is that they're working on the grip. This message is for the people that always do one of 2 things. They want to do exercises that they don't have to rely on their grip, so they want to change the exercise so they can do it better, or the people that just have given up on it and think it's just not a big deal. And maybe those people are in the same camp, but it's really important to strengthen the grip. I recently saw research that stated 2 of the most functional fitness things people can do is walk for long distances and carry things. And I know I shared that with you on another podcast and in emails. So how do we carry things if we don't have the grip, right? And the whole point isn't to sit here and necessarily get the little grip squeezers like some people do. And I have them. Mostly it's more like a nervous thing for me. It's like, some people whittle or something. It's like I can grab one of those and just kind of like squeeze it for a while to burn off some tension when I drive or whatever. It's better than like slamming my truck into some annoying person who doesn't know how to drive. Yeah, get out of the way. So instead of doing that, I squeeze my grip and everybody's more happier, including me. No, those things absolutely are okay. But it's really more about doing the exercises that really rely upon a total body movement. Like we have to be able in synchronicity to be able to pull ourselves up. We have to be able to pull things up. And to do that, we have to toughen our extremities. We have to toughen our arms. I know so many people that do a lot of hand work, right? massage therapists, chiropractors, people that use their computers a lot. They're nervous about training their grip. Yet if their grip was stronger and they trained it appropriately rather than staying away from it, their activities of daily living for them would be easier. So I want everybody listening to get two things out of this. Primarily, how important it is to have a strong grip and that it's correlated to overall body strength. And that is correlated to lower cases of all-cause mortality. That's a mouthful. And the second thing I want you to get out of it is to train it. Don't hide from it. If you're doing pull-ups and you continue to have your hands slide off the bar, deal with it. Deal with it. And just wipe your hands off. Keep going. Don't quit. Your grip is going to burn. Or I should say your forearms are going to burn. Look, your forearm muscles are your brachioradialis muscles and in part your brachialis muscle, but it's primarily your brachioradialis muscle. So like when you do some wrist extensions or you look down and just below your elbow crease, that is on your anterior portion of your arm. That is your brachioradialis. It is a very small muscle in comparison even to your biceps. So it is going to burn fast. It is going to fatigue quick. There's no doubt about it. What you have to do to strengthen it is you have to take the burn as long as you freaking can. You're not hurting yourself by doing that. Burn is just lactic acid, but you need to get it's really mentally tougher to say, oh man, my grip's going to give out. Don't let it give out. Grab the bar, hold it tighter as long as you can. If you start to give in every time your forearms give up, you're not making it stronger. The only way we get stronger is by fighting through things, right? Not running from things. Physical, psychological, mental, life, it all goes together. The lessons we learn in the gym carry over to our lives. I learned that at a very, very early age, and I try to stress that every time we talk. I learned it in the gym, and then I was able to apply it to other areas of my life. I learned that if I set goals and work my butt off in the gym, I absolutely had control over the outcomes, and I saw positive things happening by doing that. Due to learning that, thank God, I was able to then apply that back to college because I had quit going to college for a while and I went back. And when I went back, I just applied it. I said, look, put in the work, put in the time studying, and good things will happen. I ended up becoming an A student in college. I graduated magna cum laude and I got a 4.0 in my graduate degree. I don't think I'm smarter than anybody. I just know that I had the work ethic to do it. So it's the same thing with the grip or anything else. It's going to burn. It's going to hurt. It's going to fatigue. And if we quit at the first sign of discomfort in the gym, what do you think you're going to do in life? That's my belief system. I think it's very, very true. Use the gym as your training grounds for everywhere else. Fight through the grip discomfort. Strengthen your grip. Get Popeye arms. You don't have to eat spinach. Just work your grip. Now, speaking of Popeye, Zach and Jeff Hawk both look like Popeye 1 and Popeye 2. And they are the owners of Daytona Beach's own overhead door company, which have been in business for over 100 years. Thankfully, Jeff doesn't look 100. He doesn't even look close. I'm amazed at how good he looks for 100 years old. But he is the owner, and overhead door has been around that long. And what I know for sure is they go up, they go down. There isn't any problems, and they give the best customer service. I just had it happen the other day. A client says, hey, you always talk about overhead door in your podcast. Do you think you can put in a call for me? Because I think I have an account with them, yada, yada, yada. I said, yeah. So I called. I said, hey, this guy believes he has an account. Can you hook him up? They were out there the next day. That's customer service right there. It doesn't get any better than that. So if you need to reach him, contact me or go to Daytona Beach's own overheaddoor.com.